Esther wiped her tears. Her voice became smaller. So, what do you want us to do? Her mother took a deep breath. We want you to help us. We want you to bring her here. Esther looked up slowly. You want me to lie to my best friend? Yes, her father whispered. Esther let out a slow, painful breath. You want me to help kill my best friend? Her mother's voice cracked. We want you to save your family. Chimaobi closed his eyes. And what about her family? Silence again. Nobody answered because there was no answer. Esther's heart felt like glass breaking into her chest. Her voice became cold, quiet, empty. So how will we get her to come? Her parents exchanged a slow look. Her mother said, we don't know. We need to think. Chimaobi opened his eyes and something changed inside him. He looked older, darker, resigned. There is only one way, he said. Everyone turned to him. What way? Esther asked slowly. He breathed out long. Me. You? Esther repeated. Confused. Yes, he nodded. Omasiri has liked me for years. She tries to hide it, but it's obvious. Esther bit her lip, remembering. It was true. Their mother looked at him carefully. So what are you saying? He looked straight at his parent. I will pretend to love her. I will talk to her softly. I will show interest. I will make her feel special. She will trust me completely. Silence. Nobody blinked. Nobody moved. He continued slowly, like poison dripping from a cup. If I invite her home, she will come without asking questions. The room became colder. Esther's mother covered her mouth, shocked and guilty. Her father stared into space, breathing heavily. Esther whispered, Chima, are you sure? He nodded slowly. Yes, it is the only way she will travel. Esther closed her eyes. The betrayal felt like a knife. Her voice broke. And when she comes, she will think she is visiting her future in-laws. Nobody answered because that was the truth. Complete manipulation, complete deception, complete wickedness. After a long, painful silence, Esther spoke again. If I start calling her sister-in-law, she will believe you are serious. Her mother looked at her with surprise and sadness. Esther forced a bitter smile. She has always wanted to be part of this family. Hearing that will make her happy. Her father nodded slowly. Yes, it will work. Esther continued, voice shaking. I will support the lie. I will hype it. I will smile. I will pretend I am excited. Her mother touched her hand gently. My daughter, I am so sorry. Esther looked at her mother with empty eyes. Do not apologize. We all made this choice. Chimaobi whispered, God, forgive us. Mr. Enuma whispered back, God already left this village a long time ago. Everyone stared at the floor. Nobody cried anymore. Their tears were finished. Their emotions were tired. Their hearts had turned to stone, not because they wanted to, but because survival demanded it. Their mother finally asked, so, are we agreeing? Nobody spoke. The fan continued spinning slowly. A lizard ran across the wall. The night wind whistled outside. Finally, their father lifted his head. We do not have another option. Chimaobi nodded silently. Esther nodded too, even though she looked like someone signing her own death sentence. Their mother whispered, then it is settled. Mr. Enuma stood up slowly. His legs felt weak, but he forced himself to remain firm. He stretched his hand forward. As a family, we agreed to this plan. His voice cracked. One by one, Chimaobi placed his hand on top of his father's. Esther placed hers next, hands shaking. Their mother placed hers last, tears running softly but quietly. 4 hands stacked together, 4 hearts surrendering, 4 souls choosing survival over morality. Nobody prayed, nobody smiled, nobody celebrated. They only breathed heavily, like prisoners accepting a long sentence. Their father spoke again. voice heavy and final. Will we use Omasiri? The words entered the room, sat in the middle, and refused to leave. Their mother added softly, we will begin soon. Esther whispered, but tomorrow we will rest. Tonight we sleep. Yes, her father nodded. We need strength. Slowly, they removed their hands. Slowly, they walked away. Back to their rooms, back to their thoughts, back to their guilt. The living room remained silent, but if walls could talk, they would scream. That night was not ordinary. That night was the night the Enuma family crossed into darkness. Esther lay on her bed, tears rolling quietly into her pillow. She whispered to herself, forgive me, Omasiri. Forgive me. Chimobi sat on his bed, staring at the wall, thinking about the girl who once made him laugh. He whispered, I will have to lie to you, and I hate myself already. Their mother knelt beside her bed, pressing her forehead to the floor, begging God for forgiveness, even though she believed heaven had closed its ears. Their father stared at the ceiling, eyes wide, heart racing, wondering how life became this cruel. The house looked normal from outside. Lights were off, doors were locked, but inside, a friendship was about to be betrayed. A young woman's life was already chosen, and fate was smiling an evil smile. At 1 a.m., the whole family was still awake, each in separate rooms, thinking the same thing. We have made our choice. There is no going back. Tomorrow, we'll begin the plan. The moonlight entered through the windows, touching the walls gently like a warning. Dogs barked in the distance. Owls hooted from the trees. Even the night breeze felt different, colder, sharper. The entire universe seemed to know what had just happened. It felt like the beginning of something that could never end well. But at that moment, the Enuma family did not care about destiny. They cared about survival, even if it meant blood, even if it meant betrayal, even if it meant killing someone who trusted them. Because fear had swallowed their conscience and survival had become their god. Morning came slowly in the Enuma family house. The sunlight touched the windows gently, but nothing felt bright inside. The night before had been heavy, dark, and filled with fear. The family had agreed on something evil, something that would change many lives. They had decided to use Omasiri, Esther's best friend, as a sacrifice. Nobody slept well, even though they had all agreed. Their hearts felt painful, but fear pushed them, and the plan had already started in their minds. Now it was time for Esther and Chimobi to return back to Lagos. The village air was quiet, but inside them, everything was shaking. They carried their bags to the car. Their parents hugged them tightly, not with love alone, but with fear and guilt mixed inside. Remember everything we discussed? Their father whispered. We will call tonight, their mother added, voice breaking. Esther nodded sadly. Chimobi nodded too. They entered the car. The driver started the engine, and slowly they drove out of the compound. As the car moved further from the house, Esther looked back through the window. She wondered how life became this way. How did she become part of such a terrible plan? How did she allow fear to push her into something so dark? Chimobi looked straight ahead. His jaw was tight. His mind was not calm. He was thinking about the plan again and again. He knew what he had agreed to do. He knew he would have to lie, act, pretend, and play with Omasiri's heart. He hated it, but he kept telling himself it was the only way to save his family. The journey back to Lagos felt long. Esther and Chimobi hardly spoke. They only answered the driver when necessary. Most of the time, they were lost in thought. Hours passed. They crossed different towns, saw different people, but none of it touched their hearts. Their minds were full of fear and guilt. Finally, they reached Lagos. The moment they arrived at their gate, Esther breathed in the city air deeply. She always felt safer in Lagos, but today, even Lagos could not remove the weight in her heart. They entered the house. It looked the same, clean, warm, familiar, but everything felt different now because the secret they carried was so heavy. Esther sat down quietly on the sofa. Chimobi placed his bags in his room. Just then, a knock came. The bell rang. Esther stood up and opened the door. There was Omasere, smiling brightly. Her whole face was glowing with joy. She had missed her best friend. She did not know that danger was now tied to the same house she walked into with love in her heart. Welcome back, she said happily and hugged Esther tightly. Esther hugged her back, but her heart was shaking. She forced a smile. Thank you. It is good to be back. Omasiri entered the house, laughing and talking as usual. She placed the small night lunch she brought on the table. She had bought snacks for them, meat pie, drinks, and chin-chin. Chima, welcome, she shouted as soon as she saw him coming out of his room. Chima forced a smile. Thank you, Omasiri. She looked at both of them carefully. Her smile faded a little. Are you sure everything is okay at home? You left in a hurry and said it was very serious. I hope your parents are fine. Esther and Chimobi exchanged a quick look. They had to lie. Yes, Esther said quickly. Everything is fine now. Really? Omasiri asked, still looking worried. Yes, Chimobi added gently. It was just a small issue, nothing serious. Everything is fine now. Omasiri let out a sigh of relief. Thank God. I was afraid something bad happened. Esther smiled weakly. No, everything is fine. Inside her heart, she felt pain. She hated lying to someone who trusted her so much. But she could not tell the truth. Not now, not ever. Soon, the atmosphere changed. They all sat in the living room and opened the snacks Omasiri bought. They talked about the trip, joked about Lagos traffic, and laughed about old school memories. For some hours, everything looked normal. They ate, they laughed, they gisted, they watched funny videos, they talked about Christmas coming soon. No one watching them from outside would ever guess there was darkness hiding behind the smiles. Omasere was completely free. Esther was pretending. Chimobi was pretending. Every smile from them carried secret pain. Afternoon slowly turned to evening. The sky outside changed from blue to orange. The day was ending softly. After hours of laughing and chatting, Omasiri stood up. I need to go, she said. I must wake up early tomorrow to help my mom at the shop. Oh, yes, Esther nodded quickly. Tomorrow is Saturday. Yes, Omasiri said, picking her bag. We have many customers on Saturdays. My mom needs help. Then she smiled again. But I will come back next week to stay with you people. I already missed you. Esther forced a sweet smile. We will be happy to have you. Yes, Chimobi said quietly. Come next weekend. Omasiri hugged them both before leaving. Esther hugged her tightly, maybe too tightly. See you soon, Omasiri said as she walked out of the door. See you, Esther replied softly. Chimobi closed the door behind her. The moment the door clicked shut, silence filled the room. The cheerful air disappeared. The truth returned. The guilt returned. The fear returned. Esther slowly sat down. Her shoulders dropped. She looked at her brother, eyes full of sadness. She's so innocent, Esther whispered. She trusts us. I know, Chimobi replied quietly. I know. They both remained silent for a while. Then Esther asked softly, so, what do we do now? Chimobi sighed deeply and sat beside her. We continue the plan, he said firmly, although his heart was not firm at all. This is only the beginning. There is no turning back. Esther swallowed hard. How will everything start? He looked at the floor. I'll go back to work. You know I must be there, but I will return on Friday. Esther nodded. Okay. And on Friday, he continued, the three of us, we go out, we will eat, laugh, visit anywhere we want. I will use that outing to start behaving differently around her. Differently how? Esther asked. He took a deep breath. I will start showing her attention. I will start talking to her softly. I will start acting like I have interest in her. Esther closed her eyes for a moment. It felt heavy. She will be so happy, Esther whispered. Yes, he replied in a low voice. Too happy. Esther looked at him slowly. And then you will start toasting her? Yes. The word tasted bitter in his mouth. He hated even speaking it. I will make her feel special. I will make her think I love her. I will make her believe I am serious about her. Esther felt a sting in her heart. She shook her head steadily. This is so painful. Chimobi nodded. I know, but this is what we agreed. We must make her trust you more and trust me more. So everything starts on Friday? Esther asked. Yes, but I will not wait till Friday to begin. I will start tonight. Esther looked up quickly. Tonight? Yes, I'll start checking up on her from tonight. I'll start chatting her, casual chatting, just normal talk. It will make it easier on Friday. Esther's voice became very soft. She will not suspect anything. No, she loves us too much, he replied quietly. She thinks we are her second family. That sentence was painful. Esther blinked fast. She looked troubled. She told me last week that she feels safe around us, Esther whispered. Chimobi felt the words like a knife in his chest. He took a deep breath. That is why the plan will work, he said slowly. Because she trusts us. We need that trust for the plan to move well. Esther covered her face with her hands for a moment, breathing deeply. Then she looked up again. So, this weekend is the beginning of everything? Yes, he answered. Silence filled the room again, but this silence was different. It was heavier than before. It felt like something evil was sitting right between them, watching, listening. Esther stood up slowly. I will take my bath and rest. My head is heavy. Yes, go and rest, he replied. She walked quietly to her room. Chimobi sat alone in the living room. He looked around the house, thinking deeply. His breathing was slow, controlled, but heavy. After a long time, he picked up his phone. He opened the chat with Omasiri. His fingers shook a little. He typed, Hope you got home safely. He stared at the message for a second before pressing send. He leaned back and closed his eyes. This was it. The plan had started. There was no going back now. He whispered to himself, God help us. God help us. But even he knew that what they had agreed to do had nothing to do with God. Nothing holy was inside this plan. Only fear, only danger, only betrayal. And it has just begun. Night had already covered Lagos. The sky was dark, and the streets were quiet. A few cars still moved on the road, and the sound of distant horns rose and fell like weak echoes in the night. Inside Esther's house, the light in the living room glowed softly, and the air felt heavy because of the secret that Esther and Chimobi carried. Omasiri had gone home an hour earlier. She left smiling, laughing, and happy because she believed she had spent the day with her two favorite people in the world. She had no idea what Esther and her brother were planning in the shadows. Now that she was gone, silence rested in the house. Esther had already gone to her room to rest. Her heart troubled. Chimobi remained in the living room. He stared at the phone for a moment. His fingers felt stiff. He took a deep breath and opened the message page again. He typed slowly, Have you eaten? He paused before pressing send. His heart felt heavy. The message felt innocent, but he knew it was part of a bigger plan. A few seconds passed. Then the phone vibrated. Omasiri. Yes, I ate. Thank you for checking in. Have you eaten too? Chimubi exhaled gently. He typed again. Yes, I just finished eating. You must be very tired from today. A little, but I enjoyed the day. I am happy you are back, Omasile replied. Chimubi read those words slowly. He felt something twist in his chest. He hated what he was doing, but fear had pushed him into this. He replied, I'm happy to be back too. You always make things lively. He paused. He added a smile emoji. He pressed send. Seconds later, Omasiri replied, I try you. You and Esther always make me laugh. He smiled weakly at the screen. You try more than you know. Omasiri replied, Ah, stop oh. You are making me shy. The conversation continued. They teased each other about who was more fun. They joked about who ate the most meat pie earlier. They talked about Lagos traffic. They sent funny pictures. They talked about school days. The chat was flowing easily. Then Omasili sent a voice note laughing loudly. It was her real laugh, the one that came from her chest, the one that made people smile just by hearing it. Chimobi listened to the voice note and closed his eyes for a moment. She sounded so innocent, so free, so trusting. He felt guilty, but he continued. You laugh like a baby goat. He teased her. Omasi replied with a long see insult nah and sent a laughing emoji. And just like that, their night flowed with jokes, teasing, laughter, and light conversation. It felt like two friends talking freely, but underneath the surface, only one of them knew it was a trap. The next morning, before Esther even woke up, Chimobi's phone buzzed. Good morning. I hope you slept well. He paused, looked at the message, then typed slowly. Good morning. Yes, I slept well. Hope you slept well too. She replied instantly, which surprised him. Yes, I did. It was still early, and already she was testing him. This was the beginning of something deeper. He was now in her mind early in the morning. He continued the chat, gentle, warm, normal, no romantic words yet, just simple attention, kindness, and effort. During the day, he checked on her again. Hope you are fine at the shop. She responded quickly. Yes, I am trying. Mommy has many customers today. He smiled to himself and replied, Help her well. You are a good daughter. From that moment until night, they exchanged messages, short ones, long ones, jokes, stories, gist. They even sent voice notes. Esther watched everything silently. Every time she passed the living room and saw her brother chatting and smiling into his phone, her heart tightened. She knew exactly who he was talking to. She knew it was part of the plan, but it still hurt. Wednesday came, Thursday came, then Friday morning arrived. And every day between those days, the same thing happened. Good morning messages. How are you? Have you eaten? Funny memes, little teasing, playful arguments, light jokes, more checking on her. Little by little, Omasiri started to feel something new inside her heart. She felt special, important, seen, chosen, noticed, valued. Chimobi had never chatted with her like this before. He had always been polite and friendly, but now he was available. He was present. He was chatting before she slept and texting when she woke up. He was filling a space in her heart without her noticing the danger behind it. She smiled more at her phone. She laughed at messages. She replayed his voice notes. She even dreamed small dreams at night. To her, it looks like a new friendship, a deeper one, maybe even love in the future. But she did not know it was all an act. It was finally Friday, the day they planned to go out together. Esther cleaned the house early, even though her mind was troubled. At 2 p.m., Omasiri arrived with her weekend bag. She greeted Esther happily. Are you sure you are okay? She asked Esther. Yes, I'm fine, Esther said, smiling. Even though inside her heart, She was far from fine. 1 hour later, Chimaobi arrived from work. He walked inside wearing a calm smile. He greeted them both. "You people are ready?" he asked. "Yes," Omasiri answered cheerfully. They entered the car and left the house. The sun was bright. Lagos was noisy and busy, full of life. The three of them looked like normal friends going out to enjoy themselves. Nobody watching from outside would ever guess the darkness behind their outing. They went to a nice restaurant. They ate chicken, chips, rice, and ice cream. They took pictures together. They laughed loudly. They told stories of school days and funny memories. Omasiri was in her happiest mood. She felt like part of the family. She sat beside Esther at the table. Chimaobi sat across from them, smiling quietly, watching everything. When he looked at her, he made sure his eyes were gentle and warm. She noticed. She blushed a little. They left the restaurant and went to an ice cream shop. They walked around the mall. They took more pictures. They acted like three siblings having fun. To Omasiri, it was one of the best evenings she had enjoyed in a long time. To Esther, it was torture mixed with guilt. To Chimaobi, it was a painful job that he had to perform. When they returned home, they were tired but happy. They sat on the sofa, still laughing about something that happened inside the mall. Soon, Omasiri went to Esther's room to change clothes and rest. Chimaobi went to his room. And later that night, the messages continued again. Even though they had spent the whole day together, Chimaobi still messaged her before she slept. He asked, "Hope you enjoyed today." She replied, "Very much, thank you." Then she added, "I think I will sleep smiling tonight." He felt that sentence in his heart. It hurt, but he replied softly, "I'm glad you enjoyed yourself." She sent a heart emoji. He stared at it for a long time before replying something simple. Before she slept, she said, "Good night. Thank you for today." He responded, "Good night." The next day, Saturday morning, she woke up in Esther's room and the first thing her eyes looked for was her phone. There was already a message from him. "Good morning." She smiled widely. From that moment onward, everything changed. Their communication increased much more than before. Morning text, afternoon text, night text, random check-ins, small jokes, laughing voice notes, asking about food, asking about plans, asking about the day. Even when Omasiri went back home on Sunday, the chat continued strongly. They talked until midnight. They tested again the next morning. They laughed, teased, joked, and talked more. Every day, something about their connection grew deeper. Every day, she felt more attached. Every day, he became more important to her. And one thing slowly became clear. They could no longer go even one day without talking. She did not know the truth. She did not know the danger. She did not know the lies. She did not know the plan waiting behind the sweet messages. She only knew one thing. She was beginning to feel something strong for Chimaobi. A soft feeling, a warm feeling, a feeling she had waited for years to happen. She held her phone against her chest at night. She smiled at messages. She imagined possibilities. She thought of him before sleeping. She thought of him after waking up. Step by step, she opened her heart wide. Step by step, he entered more deeply. Step by step, the emotional bond grew. But for her, it was love. For him, it was trap. The new pattern between Omasiri and Chimaobi continued for days. Their messages were now regular, warm and playful. They talked in the morning, they talked in the afternoon, and they talked late into the night. Every day their bond grew stronger. Every day Omasiri felt more connected to him. And every day Chimaobi reminded himself that this was a plan, not real love. A week passed, then 2 weeks, then more. During those weeks, the three of them still went out together. They visited restaurants, walked around shopping malls, and took pictures. They laughed like nothing was wrong in the world. But something was wrong. Something was growing behind the smiles. A plan was becoming stronger. Fear was controlling every step. After one particular group outing, When they returned to Esther's house, something heavy fell inside Chimobi's heart. He remembered the truth. The countdown, the sacrifice date was getting closer. Only 2 months were left. 2 months before the festival. 2 months before the village demanded blood. 2 months before everything must be completed. This thought disturbed him deeply. Later that night, when Omasiri had gone home, he sat quietly in the living room. Esther came out from the kitchen and saw him sitting alone, staring at nothing. Chima, she called gently. He looked up slowly. Yes, you're thinking again, she said. I cannot stop thinking, he replied. Honestly, I cannot stop thinking. She sat beside him. I know, me too. He looked around to make sure no one else was listening, even though they lived alone. Esther, he said softly, we are running out of time. She looked down at her hands. I know, 2 months left. Silence fell between them for a moment. Then Esther said, we need to move to the next stage. Chimubi nodded slowly. Yes, I must take her out alone. I must make her fall for me quickly. Esther swallowed hard. She already likes you. Yes, he said, but it must become deeper. I must act like I want something serious. Esther breathed deeply. So you will take her out? Yes, without you in this time. Esther nodded again, feeling a dull pain in her chest. You should tell her. I will. Their eyes met painfully. Both of them felt the guilt. Both of them knew how wrong this was. But the plan had to continue, at least in their minds. The next morning, after Esther had gone to work, Chimobi picked up his phone. His hands did not shake this time. Fear had slowly turned into numbness. He opened the chat with Omasiri and typed, Good morning, hope you slept well. She replied almost immediately, Good morning, yes I did. Hope you slept well too. He smiled weakly and replied, Yes, I want to ask you something. She responded with a curious emoji. What is it? He paused, then typed, I want us to go out, just the two of us, without Esther for once. He stared at the message for a long moment before pressing send. He waited. 1 minute passed, another minute, then another. Finally, her message came in. Really? You want us to go out alone? He replied, Yes. Is there anything wrong? Her message came in again. No, nothing is wrong. I just did not expect it. He typed, So you will go with me? She took a few seconds to answer. Then she wrote, Yes, I will go with you. Chimobi exhaled deeply. A new step had begun. The next 2 days moved slowly. Friday arrived again, and so did the plan. Chimobi woke up early that day. He dressed better than usual. A simple but neat shirt, clean jeans, and shoes. He sprayed perfume twice. He stared at himself in the mirror. He was not prepared for love. He was preparing for a lie. He picked up his car keys and left the house. He drove to Omasiri's place. She was already outside waiting for him. Her face looked shy, but there was a glow inside her eyes that she could not hide. When she entered the car, she greeted him softly. Good afternoon, Chima. Good afternoon. You look nice, he said. She blushed immediately. Her cheeks turned pink. Thank you. He smiled a small smile and drove out. Ikoyi was calm, clean, and beautiful. The roads were lined with tall trees, shining buildings, and expensive cars. When they arrived at the restaurant, Omasiri looked around in surprise. It was a very expensive place, the kind of place people only see in movies, the kind of place couples go for romantic dates. Wow, wow, she whispered. This place is so beautiful. Yes, he said. I wanted something special. Her heart beat faster. She looked away shyly. They entered the restaurant. The lights were warm and golden. Soft music played in the background. People sat quietly at tables, eating expensive meals. They found a nice table and sat down. A waiter brought the menu. Omasiri gasped quietly when she saw the prices. They were high, very high. She looked at Chimobi nervously. Chima, this place is very expensive. It is fine, he said gently. Order anything you want. She swallowed and smiled. They ordered food, grilled chicken, rice, salad, and fresh juice. When the food arrived, everything looked perfect. The plates were shiny, the food was neatly arranged, and the smell was very delicious. As they ate, they talked about school memories, funny moments from childhood, Esther's annoying habits, and their favorite music. Omasiri laughed many times. Chimobi laughed too, but his smile did not reach his eyes. Inside, he felt like a man walking with fire in his chest. Still, he continued acting. After eating, they took pictures together. They talked more. They even tasted each other's food. Everything looked like a real date. To Omasiri, it was magical. To Shimobi, it was painful. To Destiny, it was dangerous. After the meal, they sat quietly for a few minutes. The restaurant was calm, the music was soft, and the lights were warm. It was the perfect time for a confession. Chimobi looked at her. His expression changed slowly. He made his eyes soft. He let his voice become gentle. Omasiri, he said quietly. She looked up. Yes, I want to tell you something. Her heart jumped inside her chest. She opened her palms on her lap. I have been wanting to say this for a long time, he continued. She swallowed hard. Okay? He took a slow breath, lowering his head slightly like someone opening his heart. I have loved you for a long time. Her eyes widened. Her lips parted slightly. She did not breathe for a moment. He continued, acting perfectly. I was shy to say it. I was afraid. I did not know how you would react, so I kept quiet. Omasiri stared at him, shocked and shy. Her cheeks became bright and pink. Her heartbeat became loud in her ears. But now, he continued softly, I cannot keep it inside anymore. He looked into her eyes. You are the only woman I can imagine spending my life with. She covered her mouth slowly with her hand, unable to respond immediately. He leaned back a little. I am serious, Omasiri. I have loved you quietly, and I believe you are the right woman for me. I cannot imagine my future with anyone else. His voice sounded emotional. His eyes looked honest. It was a perfect lie, a painful lie, a dangerous lie. Omasiri was silent for a long time. Her heart felt warm, full and soft. She looked down, shy and overwhelmed. Chima, she whispered, I do not know what to say. He smiled gently. Say what is in your heart. She shook her head slowly. I am happy and surprised and shy. This is a lot. He nodded slowly. I understand. She looked up again. I need time. I don't want to rush. I need to think about it. He gave the perfect answer. No problem. Take your time. I am not in a hurry. His voice was calm, patient, loving, everything a woman wants to hear. You deserve time. He added softly, I will wait. She smiled shyly. She felt cherished. She felt chosen. She felt like the world had given her a sweet secret. She said, Thank you. He smiled, You're welcome. Inside her heart, something bright opened like a flower, but inside his heart, something cold stayed. Because he knew the truth. This was not love. This was not real. This was a trap. A trap she could never imagine. The ride home from the expensive Ikoyi restaurant was quiet, soft, and full of new feelings for Omasiri. She sat in the passenger seat with her hands folded on her lap, and she kept replaying the moment again and again in her mind. I have loved you for a long time. You are the only woman I can imagine spending my life with. Those words kept echoing in her heart like gentle music. She tried to hide the smile on her face, but it refused to disappear. She looked outside the window, pretending to admire the street lights, but her heart was dancing. Beside her, Chimobi drove calmly. His face was relaxed, his voice soft, and his actions gentle, perfect for someone confessing love. But inside him, his heart was heavy. He had succeeded in the mission for tonight, but he felt pain he could not show. When they reached Esther's house, he parked the car. Omasiri carried her small bag, thanked him with a shy smile, and got down. He followed her inside with a polite expression. The moment they entered the living room, the hidden excitement in Omasiri exploded. She dropped her bag on the sofa and turned to Esther. Esther! She called out loudly, her voice full of joy. Esther came out from her room, still holding her phone in her hand. What happened? Why are you shouting like that? She asked, pretending to be surprised. Omasiri rushed to her and held her two hands tightly. Esther, your brother asked me out. Her voice shook with excitement. Esther opened her mouth and screamed loudly. What? Then she jumped and hugged Omasiri tightly. My God, are you serious? Yes, yes. Omasiri laughed, half shy, half overwhelmed. Esther hugged her again, even tighter this time. Oh my God, oh my God, I am so happy. My sister-in-law, my sister-in-law. Omasiri's heart almost melted. The word sister-in-law entered her chest like warm light. She felt accepted. She felt seen. She felt like she belonged in the Enuma family. Esther, stop, she said shyly, hiding her face. No, Esther laughed. I will not stop. I have been waiting for this news for years. She pulled Omasiri to sit beside her on the sofa. Tell me everything. Start from the beginning. Don't hide anything from me. So Omasiri told her everything. How he smiled at her, how he asked her to go out alone, how they went to an expensive restaurant in Ikoyi, how he spoke softly, how he told her he loved her, how he said he wanted a future with her. Esther held her chest and shouted, Chai, my brother is romantic. Omasiri laughed shyly and covered her face. This is too much for me, she whispered. Esther hugged her again. My dear, if you accept to marry my brother one day, I will be the happiest woman on earth. Hearing that made tears enter Omasiri's eyes. She wiped them quickly and smiled again. I have not said yes yet, she whispered. Esther squeezed her hand. Take your time, but just know that you already have a place in our family. You are loved here. Omasiri nodded slowly, her heart warm. She truly felt safe. She truly felt chosen. She truly felt important. She had no idea. It was all a plan. Hours passed. Omasiri slept over in Esther's room that night. They talked about love, marriage, and the future until they all both fell asleep. The next morning, when Omasiri woke up, she stared at the ceiling for a long time. The confession from the previous night replayed in her mind again and again. She felt her heart beating softly and happily. Later that afternoon, when she returned home, she sat on her bed thinking deeply. Should she say yes? Should she enter a relationship with Shimobi? Her heart said yes. Her mind said yes. Everything inside her said yes. By evening, she picked up her phone and typed, Chima, I have thought about everything and I think I want to give us a chance. Her heart raced as she pressed send. It did not take long for Chima to reply, Thank you. I promise to treat you well. Those words made her smile widely. She whispered to herself, This is the beginning of something beautiful. She believed every word. She did not know the truth. As soon as she sent the message, she rushed to Esther's house. Esther! She shouted again as she entered. Esther came out running. What happened? I told him yes. Esther screamed and hugged her tightly again. Oh my good God. My sister-in-law. Officially, I am so happy. They danced in the living room like two excited ladies. Inside her heart, Esther felt pain. Sharp, bitter pain. but she could not show it. She had to play her role. Soon, Chimaobi came out from his room when he heard the noise. What is happening? He asked, pretending not to know. Esther pushed him playfully. Your girlfriend said yes. He smiled gently at Omasiri. Thank you, he said softly. Omasiri looked shy. You're welcome. Esther clapped her hands happily. This is the beginning of a beautiful relationship. They all laughed together. But only one person was laughing with truth. The second and third person was laughing with lies. When Omasiri left the house that evening, Esther and Chimaobi sat down quietly. The happiness on their faces vanished. It is working, Esther whispered. Yes, Chimaobi replied quietly. The plan is working perfectly. Both of them went silent. They knew what that meant. Later that night, Esther and Chimaobi entered his room and locked the door quietly. Esther dialed their father's number. When he picked, she whispered, Daddy, she has agreed. Her father sighed loudly through the phone, half relief, half fear. Thank God, thank God, he whispered. We are running out of time. Chimaobi collected the phone gently. Daddy, everything is working well, do not worry. Their father replied, Keep going, do not stop. We must finish what we started. The call ended. Esther and Chimaobi sat on the bed, their faces heavy. We have done the first part, Esther said. Yes, Chimaobi replied, but the plan is still long. They both looked down. Guilt pressed their hearts, but fear pushed them forward. The following weekend, Omasiri's parents invited Chimaobi to their house. They wanted to meet him properly. They had heard the news from their daughter. They were happy and excited. When he arrived, he greeted them with respect. He spoke calmly. He behaved well. Omasiri's mother served him food and drink with joy. After they finished eating, her parents sat down with him in the living room. Omasiri told us everything, her father said with a smile. She said you are interested in her, her mother added, smiling warmly. Chimaobi nodded slowly. Yes, sir. Yes, ma. I care about your daughter. She's a good woman. They smiled. Their hearts melted. I want you to know something, he continued gently. I am serious about her. In the future, I want her to be my wife. Omasiri's mother covered her mouth in surprise. Her father smiled proudly. You are a good man. We are happy. We'll give our blessing. Omasiri sat quietly on the sofa, shy and blushing. She felt complete joy. She felt seen. She felt chosen. She felt like her life was falling into place. Her parents hugged her later that night. You have found a good man, her mother said softly. Her father agreed. A serious man at that. Omasiri smiled deeply. She believed she had found love. She believed she had found a future. She believed she had found her own family. But she did not know she was walking into danger. As the days passed, more happiness filled the air. Omasiri was happy. Her parents were happy. Chimaobi acted happy. Esther pretended to be happy. Even neighbors smiled at the new couple. But behind all the smiling faces, behind all the hugs, behind all the blessings, behind all the excitement, behind all the truth, the relationship was a trap. The love was fake. The attention was a lie. The plan was evil. Everybody was happy except the truth. And the truth was waiting for the day it would be revealed. The month of November moved quickly. Days passed like soft footsteps, one after another. The new relationship between Omasiri and Chimaobi grew stronger in her eyes, and she believed everything was real. She believed it was love. She believed it was destiny. She believed her life was finally taking shape in the sweetest way. She had no idea she was walking step by step into danger. She had no idea she was getting closer to a dark plan. She only saw love. She only felt happiness. She only heard sweet words. The truth was silent. By the end of November, on a quiet evening, Omasiri was lying on her bed, scrolling through her phone. She had just finished chatting with Esther earlier, and she felt relaxed. Her phone suddenly rang. It was Chimobi. She smiled immediately and picked up. Hello, my love, she said softly, feeling shy and happy. His voice came calm and warm. Hello dear, how are you? I'm fine, just resting. That is good, he said. I called because I want to tell you something important. Her heart started beating a little faster. Important things usually meant good news. What is it? She asked gently. He breathed out slowly, pretending to sound emotional. I want us to travel to the village for Christmas. She sat up quickly. Travel, she repeated, surprised. Yes, he continued. I want us to go together. I want us to spend Christmas with my parents. Her heart jumped with excitement. He continued, I also want to officially tell my parents that we are now a couple. They need to know. They need to see us together. A huge smile spread across her face. Chima, are you serious? She asked joyfully. Yes, I am serious. She covered her mouth with her hand as she struggled to hold in her excitement. Oh my God, she whispered. This is big. This is very big. Yes, he said. It is a big step, and I want to take it with you. She felt her heart melt. All her fingers tingled. Her chest felt warm. This means so much to me, she whispered. I know, he said softly, and I want everything to be done well. Omasiri smiled until her cheeks hot. Thank you, Chima. Thank you for choosing me. You deserve it, he said gently. They talked for a more few minutes. She kept smiling and laughing, unable to hide her joy. When the call ended, she rushed out of her room and shouted, Mommy! Daddy! Her parents hurried out of their room, surprised. What is happening? Her father asked. Mommy, Daddy, she said, shaking with excitement. Chima wants us to travel to his village for Christmas. He wants to introduce me officially to his parents as his girlfriend. Her mother screamed happily. Her father laughed loudly. Her mother hugged her. Her father tossed her head lovingly. My daughter, this is good news, he said proudly. This is beautiful, her mother added. This is the step before marriage. Omasiri blushed. Her parents began asking questions. When are you traveling? What should we buy for them? What will you wear? Did he say the date? They were full of joy. They believed everything was real. They believed their only child was safe. They believed she was on the path to becoming a wife. They didn't know the truth. The next day, Esther came to visit. When she entered the house, Omasiri ran to her like an excited child. Esther, we are traveling for Christmas. Esther pretended to be surprised. What? Are you serious? Yes, Omasiri said with a huge smile. Your brother wants to introduce me officially to your parents. Esther opened her arms wide and hugged her tight. I am so happy for you. Inside her heart, Esther felt something heavy. She felt guilt. She felt fear, but she stayed calm on the outside. To keep the act going, Esther said, we must prepare well. We need to buy things. We cannot go empty-handed. Yes, Omasiri shouted happily. We must buy gifts. So the two girls went to the market. They bought beautiful dresses, shoes, skincare items, new hair extensions, food stuff for the family in the village, gifts for Esther's parents, other little things to show respect. Omasili paid for many things. She wanted to impress the family. She wanted to be accepted. She wanted to show she was a good woman. Esther watched her with sad eyes sometimes. She knew everything was a lie. She knew Omasili was preparing for her own death without knowing. It broke her heart, but she forced a smile every time. After shopping, they went home tired but excited. They brought out their bags and started packing. Omasiri folded her clothes carefully. She placed her gifts neatly. She arranged her shoes. She arranged her hair products. As she packed, she smiled at every item. This Christmas will be special, she said softly. Esther smiled back with weak eyes. By the first week of December, everything was ready. Clothes packed, shoes polished, gifts arranged. hearts full of excitement. Chimobi called and said, "We should book our flight early. The airport will soon be crowded." So Esther and Omasiri sat on the bed with Omasiri's laptop open. They searched for flights to Anambra. After checking different types and prices, they finally booked their tickets. As soon as the payment was complete, Omasiri screamed, "We are going to Anambra." Esther laughed loudly and hugged her. "Yes, we are." They danced around the room, shaking their hands and laughing like children. That night, Omasiri went to bed with joy in her heart. She dreamed of Christmas with Chimobi. She dreamed of the village. She dreamed of love. She did not know that death was waiting quietly inside the same village. Finally, the day of the trip arrived. Esther and Omasiri woke up early. They dressed up beautifully because they wanted to look good when meeting Esther's parents. They carried their bags outside. A taxi came to pick them. As they entered the airport, Omasiri's heart beat fast with excitement. She had never traveled with a man she loved before. She felt grown, mature, and ready for the future. On the plane, she held Esther's hand and said, "Thank you for always being there for me." Esther smiled sadly. Always. When the plane landed in Anambra, Omasiri felt joy wash over her. She loved the fresh air. She loved the calm environment. Everything looked peaceful. They carried their bags and came outside the airport. Chimobi was waiting for them. He hugged them both. "Welcome," he said warmly. "Let us go home." The road to the village was long but peaceful. Trees lined both sides of the road. People walked along the roadside, carrying farm produce. Children ran around, laughing. The sun shone gently on their faces. When they finally arrived at Enuma's compound, the gate opened slowly. Mr. and Mrs. Enuma came outside immediately. The moment they saw Omasiri, they stretched their arms happily. "Omasiri, my daughter," Mrs. Enuma said with a huge smile. "Oh, welcome," Mr. Enuma added warmly. They hugged her tightly. They acted like the sweetest in-laws. They acted like people who loved her. They acted like people who cared about her future. But inside their hearts, fear was eating them alive because they knew what they had planned. They knew what the village demanded. They knew she was not a guest. She was a sacrifice. But Omasiri did not know. All she saw was love. She smiled and greeted them respectfully. "I brought some small things for you," she said shyly. "Oh, thank you, my daughter," Mrs. Enuma said, pretending to be touched. Come inside," Mr. Enuma added. Esther and Chimobi exchanged a quick secret look. Their plan was moving perfectly. Inside the house, everything looked bright. The chairs were clean. The curtains were beautiful. The atmosphere felt warm and welcoming. Mrs. Enuma went inside the kitchen and brought out bowls of food. She placed them on the dining table. Jollof rice, fried chicken, goat meat stew, fried plantain, salad, soft drinks, fruits. "Come and eat," she said. Omasiri smiled. "This is too much." "It is not too much for our daughter," Mrs. Enuma said sweetly. They all sat and ate. The food was delicious. Everybody smiled. Everybody laughed. Everybody looked happy. Omasiri felt like she was in the right place, like this was her second home, like she belonged here. But deep inside, the truth was cold and dangerous. That evening, after eating and resting, Omasiri's phone rang. It was her parent. She jumped up happily and answered. "Hello, mommy." "Hello, daddy." "How was your journey?" her father asked. "It was smooth," she replied cheerfully. "Did you get there safely?" her mother asked. "Yes, I'm with Esther here, Chima and their parents." Mrs. Enuma smiled sweetly and waved from the background, pretending to greet. "Good evening, sir, madam," she shouted loudly so they could hear. Omasiri's parents greeted back cheerfully. They talked for some time. The conversation was full of happiness. The parents felt peace. They believed their daughter was in good hands. They believed she was safe. When the call ended, Omasiri smiled warmly. I am so happy, she said softly. Esther smiled weakly. Me too. That night, as they all sat outside the house enjoying the cool village breeze, everything looked peaceful. The moon shone softly, the stars twinkled, the air smelled fresh. Omasiri laughed with Esther. Chimobi smiled at her. Mr. and Mrs. Enuma looked like loving parents, but behind all the smiles, behind all the laughter, behind all the warmth, evil was already in motion. The village elders already knew she had arrived. The chief priest was aware. The plan had already moved to the next stage. Her name was already written for the sacrifice. She had become the chosen victim, and she had no idea. She only saw love. She only felt joy. She only believed in a bright future. The village was quiet that night. Too quiet, because the village was waiting, waiting for the festival, waiting for the sacrifice, waiting for the blood of a girl who trusted too much. While Omasiri slept peacefully that night, believing she was safe in the arms of family, danger was standing outside, watching, waiting, counting down. The journey she thought was for love was actually the journey to her death. But she did not know, not yet.